Hello Gemini, welcome to this reading. We're going to be taking a look at the current energy for the sign of Gemini for the rest of 2022. So this will cover the period of time between now, here in August, all the way through to December 31st. Do keep in mind that this is a general reading, so take the messages as they resonate, drop the ones that do not, and also check out your sun, moon, and rising signs. Let's go and get into this for you here, Gemini, and see what we have. Now I am using the Gilded Tarot as well as the Kipper Oracle deck and the Keepers of the Light Oracle deck. There are links to all of these decks in the description below if you'd like to pick them up for yourself. I also ask that you hit the like button and subscribe, as it really does help my channel grow in a big way. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at these, or let's take 3 of these cards rather to clarify as we go along. Take 3 of the Kipper cards, and then I'll also take 3 of the Keepers of the Light cards. All right, Gemini, I think that's looking just about good enough to me. Energy on the bottom, you have the Justice card. So Justice card is the card of Libra. It is also, though, more importantly, a card that indicates balance, patience, and the Justice card, more importantly, is about, well, more likely is about karma, okay? And you can think of these scales as the sort of like balance of your karma, or the karma that you've accumulated, and based on the actions that you take, the scale either tips in one direction or the other. So when you get the Justice card, it says karma could be kind of moving in one direction or the other for you. When you get this, it's also an energy of kind of getting the outcome you deserve. That's the true sort of essence of the Justice card, which is, you know, the actions that you take, the thoughts that you put in your mind, the expectations that you place on yourself, that you place on other people, all of those actions, they have an effect. They have an effect on the balance of your karma. And it's very important to think of your karma not as like a belief, but rather karma is really just the accumulation of your actions. If you want to think of karma as a belief, you can. I'm not telling you what to do, but from my perspective, karma is simply, from my perspective, we're always accruing karma, and we're always sort of burning off or paying karma based around the actions that we take. All right, so not to go into a rant about karma, but it is a card of karma. So some of you could be taking a look at, some of you could be between now and the end of the year sort of reflecting on the steps that you've been taking, you know, steps that you need to take, and kind of coming to realizations in those areas. In the overall situation, you have the King of Wands. So the King of Wands is, this is in the overall situation or the current situation. The King of Wands can refer to any fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo. But really the King of Wands is, as a quality of yourself, somebody who is extremely talented and passionate about what they do. And the King of Wands, it's one of my favorite cards to find, because you'll never find the King of Wands in a dead-end job. They'll always be in a job or a career field that they love, or they'll be self-employed doing something that they love. And so this is the classic entrepreneur in the tarot. They're also, you can see the star here on the throne that they're sitting on. They're the star of the show, okay? Everybody wants to know them. Everybody wants to be around them. And they're kind of out in front of people. You could think of the King of Wands as somebody who's a visionary in their life. And just remember, I don't attach gender to my cards. I just read these cards as energies. So we have a king, we have a queen, we have a knight. So just keep that in mind as you watch my readings. And so you can take on the qualities of any of these cards. But to get the Justice and the King of Wands card, you know, some of you here are getting an outcome that you truly deserve in your work situation. This could be for good or for bad. It really depends on what steps you've taken up to this point. And I'm trying to clarify this message for you. But between now and the end of the year, there could be something around there could be something where you're like, yep, like that's exactly, like I got exactly what I was looking for, or I understand why this situation didn't happen and I understand why that situation did happen. Those sorts of things could be coming forward for you with the King of Wands and the Justice card, right? It's just a sort of very like cathartic, what you see is what you get. This is why it happened. This is why it didn't happen type of energy as it relates to your career situation. And I say that it could go in either direction because in the problem position, you have the devil, okay? And the devil in the problem position may suggest that there's something that you are doing that you know you need to stop. And the devil is really a card of our shadows, okay? We all have a shadow. We all have something to work through. But with this in the problem position, are some of you procrastinating? That's my question. Are some of you procrastinating? Are some of you, engaging in less than great habits? Is there something that you need to change in your day-to-day, in your routine? Because with the Justice card, it truly can. It can go either way. It's all up to you, not to put pressure on yourself, or not to put pressure on you. But the Justice card says it's really about what you're doing. Okay, this is really about what you're doing. And I do realize that this is starting off on a heavier note. But you could also look at this as like a sort of silver lining as well. There's definitely a silver lining in here, which is between now and the end of the year, you have an opportunity to make something out of nothing, or you have an opportunity to take action on something. And so this is really one of these, like, it's kind of up in the air type of energies where you go between now and the end of the year, it really is sort of like to be determined at this point. It's really up to you. In the past, you have the Seven of Swords, and the Seven of Swords represents something around deception. It represents something the way, if you look up like the Seven of Swords definition, it's like this idea of like lying, cheating, stealing. This can be somebody who's deceptive. It can be I see this card come forward oftentimes when there's like workplace gossip going on. Definitely not a good combination with the Justice and the Seven of Swords. Basically the Justice and the Seven of Swords card says, like, if you're gossiping, there could be some something rendering out in real time, like some karma rendering out in real time, if you will, or some sort of like situation rendering out in real time. But the Seven of Swords card can also say that you've needed to build a game plan for some time. Like, that there has needed to be some sort of strategy or game plan for yourself and for your situation. And there's been a sort of maybe even like some of you have needed to take a clever approach to solve some type of problem with the Seven of Swords as well, showing up in the past. And I do think that there's something here around organization that is very important for you between now and the end of the year. Something around organization is coming into my mind for you as it relates to your work or your career situation. If you can get organized, like if you are not organized and you can somehow get organized, that will really, really help you out between now and December with the Justice card and the Seven of Swords in the past. If you notice, I keep going back to this Justice card, and it's because it seems like the most important message for you between now and the end of the year. You may even want to read up on what the Justice card is. Like, you could just Google the Justice card, Justice Tarot card. It seems like it's being very much highlighted in my mind as I'm reading this. In the future, you have the Five of Wands, which is about some type of conflict. Could be approaching for you. There could be a conflict here approaching. The thing about the Five of Wands is it does allow you to sort of get stronger. The Five of Wands is, think about it this way. We almost always, as humans, we always get stronger, or we always improve in the face of conflict, or we always have the ability to improve in the face of conflict, because oftentimes we are exposed in the face of conflict, and that allows us to see the areas of our life where we need to change. And many people won't change, right? Many people will be met with a conflict and they won't look at the areas in this conflict where they were exposed, and they'll just stay where they are. But there are people who take ownership and take responsibility and say, okay, I see where I need to change now. And those are the people that really can make major improvements in life. And I think that for some of you, this could be a big opportunity to do something like that here in the future. In your thoughts, in your awareness, on your mind here, in your consciousness, you do have the Queen of Swords. So this is really a message of having a deep focus. You know that you need to focus on something. It could also be you. The Queen of Swords can also represent any air sign or a Gemini. You could be on your mind here as well, obviously. Like you could be kind of keeping your best interest in mind here around an area or a specific topic, or as it relates to a specific person as well. But really, I think that this is about you kind of focusing on something related to your work, because you have the devil in the problem position with the with the King of Wands, and this idea of like what you see is what you get type of energy, or kind of reap what you sow type of energy. I think that's probably the right way of saying it. I think that those things are all kind of coming into the forefront for you right now, Gemini. In the subconscious, so this is what you can't see, or the hidden, this is also the way that you talk to yourself. This spot is also the way that you talk to yourself. You have the Five of Pentacles, which, you know, obviously the Five of Pentacles in this lower spot, whenever I get it, this is always talking to yourself in a negative way. Okay, this is always talking to yourself like you are less than, or you are unworthy, or I could never do that, or I could never have that, or you even comparing yourself to other people, like why do they have this and why can't I have that? The Five of Pentacles is not necessarily, in this case, because of the position that it's in, it's not scarcity mindset, it's scarcity self-talk. Okay, it's negative self-talk, especially with the Devil card showing up in the problem position. So I would say, like, this is kind of a serious reading. What I would say is between now and the next, 4.5 months, call it, between now and the end of the year, I think it's extremely important that you be careful that you are not comparing where you are now to other people, because that might keep you kind of where you are. Some of you are really looking to make improvements, and it can happen because of the Justice's influence. In the staff, in the direction that you were headed, in your current influence, the way that you are influencing the situation, you do have the Seven of Pentacles, which is all about long-term growth. Okay, this is about long-term investments paying off, or I think in this case, long-term growth. Maybe also a long-term change in directions, or a change in situations. This person is sort of thinking about their harvest here, and they're deciding if they want to take their harvest or go in a new direction or not. But yeah, some of you are really thinking long-term here. I love that this staff is definitely coming with some improvements for you. So I definitely like that. I think some of you are playing the long game, and you're evaluating your situation not just for, the next couple months, but rather I think some of you are setting yourself up for the next, maybe 10 years, and you're thinking about, okay, what does that look like for me? What actions, what steps can I take right now that will set me up for the next, I don't know, call it 5, 10, whatever years. That's the idea of the Seven of Pentacles. And I think some of you are trying to like align your thoughts with your actions, or your words with your actions at this time. In the external influence, you have the Nine of Wands, which this is about, the Nine of Wands is like, can be a card of resistance. It can be a card that can indicate needing to really push through and see something through to the end. This person is literally standing at the finish line, and they are so close to completing something important, but they must persevere. And so some of you, I just have to be real with you, Geminis here. And it's interesting, I record this as Mars moves into Gemini, and Mars will be in Gemini until March 2023 for 8 months. So it'll be there for a long time. You may want to take a look at that placement for yourself. If you know what your Mars placement is, I would look at your Mars placement. If you're like an advanced astrology person, I would look at that. But anyway, I'm going to be real with you. I do feel like there are some things happening outside of you that are going to test you. The Nine of Wands can indicate somebody who's annoyed, and also somebody who maybe is either resisting or needs to set boundaries. And I think that there could be something that just kind of tests you between now and the end of the year. Again, you have the ability to handle this appropriately. And also the way that you handle some sort of annoying situation with the Five of Wands and the Nine of Wands will come with some type of just outcome, as you have the Justice card. In other words, karma is sort of always kind of there, and we're always kind of adding to our karmic storehouse as we take action, or based on the actions that we take. In the hopes and fears, you have the Knight of Swords. This is something about chaos. Okay, some of you, the Knight of Swords can indicate chaos, but it can also indicate you striking while the iron is hot. It is a card of action. So I will say that there's something here about the actions you're taking and also springing to action that is heavy in this reading. In the outcome, you have the Six of Cups, which represents kind of memories of love or memories from the past. It could also be somebody from the past trying to re-enter, like maybe an ex-partner or an ex-relationship or something like this. It could also be some painful memory from the past coming back in, or some of you, what you're doing is you are healing generational trauma and you're healing generational patterns. I know that's like a very heavy thing to say, but I do think that this reading is by far the heaviest reading I've done between now for these next, for the rest of the year readings that I've done. Yours is the heaviest, and I think some of you are healing generational patterns here for sure. And what else did I want to say with that? I think that was probably all I had with that. If it comes back into my mind, I will certainly say it. But let's go ahead and take a look at these three tarot cards. Okay, so you have the Eight of Cups, you have the Knight of Wands, and you also have the Two of Cups. So the Eight of Cups is you walking away from something or someone that no longer serves you. I think some of you are going to walk away from something. I think some of you are, now this isn't going to be for every Gemini, but I do think some Geminis are going to walk away and just embrace a completely new start in their life here with this Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands can be a big card of like traveling to a new place, moving to a new location, or just generally changing their direction. And as you do that, you could be finding somebody here with the Two of Cups. It's also possible that you're walking away from somebody. You're walking away from the Two of Cups and just kind of figuring out what's next for you. This could be family that you're walking away from with Thoughts, Family Room, and Mature Man. Or there could be just memories, painful memories related to your family here that some of you are looking to heal from. But this Thoughts card, I mean, listen, I've talked about how there's something about negative self-talk and also your thoughts here that are very important. Lastly, you have Mercury, open communication, get a weight off your chest, speak up with love and be heard. You have Holy Amethyst, divine alchemy, move beyond current challenges, focus on what you desire, as well as the Shekinah, sacred self, unleash your spirit, express your gifts, dance to the sacred rhythm of life. Don't let anybody hold you back from being the truest version of yourself. And just recognize that if you are standing in your truth and you are doing what you know is true for you, you will be supported, especially karmically, as we have this Justice card on the bottom. So definitely a challenging reading. If you're still with me, I really do appreciate you watching to the end. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe. Really appreciate you, and I will see you in the next reading.